Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan and thanks for joining us for our Wednesday weather update recorded on August the 7th. We've got low pressure out here in the Tasman Sea. It's not a very strong low, but it is moving in towards the North Island, and by Friday it moves across and then completely falls apart as we go into Saturday. Behind it all, there's a lot of high pressure, and over the next week, most of New Zealand leans drier than average because of that incoming high pressure zone. So we'll break that all down for you. Let's kick off with the cloud and precipitation map. This is for 3 o'clock in the morning, overnight tonight. You can see a line here of rain or showers. It's pretty broken up and pretty narrow, so this may not be rain so much, it might just be more showers. What's the difference? Rain is usually from one big cloud covering a larger area for more than 30 minutes. Showers tend to be sort of individual clouds here and there and usually last less than 30 minutes. So when you're in this kind of line here, it's a 50-50 call whether or not you call it rain or showers. So let's animate the next 48 hours from Thursday morning, and you'll see the low moves in and then pretty much falls apart. And by the time we get to the very early hours of Saturday morning, there's still a cyclonic airflow in here, but the low is basically gone. Drives in a few more showers here coming through into Saturday morning, but most other places not really seeing a major weather event coming through at all because of the fact that this low is mostly weak. But there might just be some localized areas of heavy rain, and it looks as though the northwestern corner of the South Island is most exposed to that, sort of the Takaka, Tasman Bay areas. It might come a little bit over towards Nelson, and then there will be spillover into Marlborough, and then the northern halves of both the West Coast and Canterbury, sort of from this mark northwards, have got a better chance of getting some wet weather, but it may not be very much. I know if you're in Canterbury, despite the fact that it's the middle of winter, you want to get some rain in there because it is so much drier than usual. In fact, most of the country is leaning not necessarily drier than average, but not as wet as it could be. It's still wet underfoot from a soil moisture point of view, but it's usually a little bit wetter in most places. Not everyone. There'll be some people that say it's plenty wet enough at my house. Maximum temperatures on Thursday. Again, this is not a main centre map. This is just showing various points, and each day, once you see it, you start to build a picture of where the bigger temperature changes are happening, and there's not really a lot going on. It's actually a little bit cooler for some of the northern areas here, not so much Northland, and then further down, middle areas, no real change, about average for where you should be, and down here in the south, the blue areas, that's a sign of single-digit daytime highs, but the coastal areas, they're into the double digits. So Friday, here is that low moving in and across the North Island. So pretty weak, 1021, average air pressure is about 1013. So this is a very weak low. It's on the higher side of the air pressure, and that's why it is falling apart. We've got a bit of wet weather around it. Notice how broken up and messy that is. That is part of a weak system. It's very hard to kind of lock in when it's weak and so borderline where those rain clouds and shower clouds will be. But it is worth pointing out that as this airflow curves around, you will get a little bit into the eastern side and southern sides here, but this sort of stuff to the north here, unpredictable. It could be drizzly 1 minute, downpour the next, and then the sun comes out and there's sort of not much to talk about. So that's why I'm pointing that out. It's a messy chop and change kind of setup. Departure from normal temperatures. Here we are, 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Areas in blue, they are a few degrees below average for this time of the year. So eastern areas are slightly cooler, but in western sides, pretty much warmer than average. Let's go to Saturday now. The low, as we said before, falls apart on Saturday. Just drives in a few showers here to the east and maybe a couple more up here to the north and the south. But otherwise, most of the North Island dries out, and the South Island is already dry because of the incoming high. And that means frosty weather returns again to the South Island starting on Friday morning and then again here on Saturday morning. Departure from normal temperatures. The blue areas are shrinking, but it's still, these yellow shaded areas, they're a couple of degrees to a few degrees warmer than they should be for this time of the year. Basically, when you blur it all out, it's about normal for this time of the year, but maybe a degree slightly warmer than average. Why is it slightly warmer? Well, basically we've got a westerly flow coming out of Australia. That's sort of more noticeable here on Sunday as those westerlies pick up around the South Island, nor'westers around Wellington. Elsewhere the winds are light, but the South Island feels that airflow coming out of Australia. That begins over the weekend, and that will help to lift up those temperatures just a little bit. Into Monday, the temperatures now might drop just a little bit because this high parked out to sea here, and this is a very big high pressure zone again. That is now pulling in a southwesterly flow. So westerlies on Sunday turn southwest here on Monday. That drives in a few showers along the western side, won't be very much. Eastern areas look mostly dry. Temperatures will drop a little bit for some of you, especially down here more to the south, but it's not going to be very cold because track the origins of these isobars, they're coming out of Australia. So this is not, at this stage, a very cold event. And 1028 hectopascals along that line there, coming into Auckland, Waikato, Coromandel. So that air pressure is pretty high. That's not going to produce a lot of wet weather. And by Tuesday, you can sort of see how big this high pressure zone is. Stretches all the way out to the Cook Islands and north of Fiji. It goes right up to Samoa, all the way across here now into Australia, and it stretches out to South Australia and down here to the Auckland Islands. So that's a big area of low pressure that would just push away the rainmakers and keep New Zealand mostly dry. And that is how we're expecting it to be rainfall wise. This is the cumulative rainfall map through till Saturday. Now the areas in the pink and the purple right at the bottom of the scale there, but the blue areas, that's sort of 10 to 30 millimetres for the most part. Canterbury dries out the further south you go. A little bit of rain coming into the north here. Most of it's in the northwestern corner of the South Island and down here around the glaciers and towards Fiordland, and a little bit of rain also around Mount Taranaki and perhaps a little bit around the eastern side of the Bay of Plenty. Otherwise, most of you are in that sort of couple of millimetres to 10, 20 millimetres. But as always, drill down deeper with our forecasts at Rural Weather and Weather Watch. The data there is updated every single hour, and it takes all of the world's computer modelling and kind of figures it out for your local part of the country. That is all from me for today. Back again tomorrow, Thursday, with our New Zealand forecast and also our Australia outlook as well. We'll see you tomorrow.